Here are some reasons why I would ask you to vote against Stephen Harper in this election. I'm not going to ask you here who to vote for. I'm only asking you to go out and vote against the Harper government in favor instead of a Canadian government again. I'm asking you to encourage everyone you know to go out and vote for change. Who you vote for is entirely up to you, but I'm going to ask you to vote against Stephen Harper, and I'm going to explain some points of why I think it's very important that you do. Harper and his reformists, who are, quote, Canadian Republicans, by his own words, took over the Conservative Party and repressed the real conservatives within the party. They are called the Conservatives. Harper refers to them as the center-right, when in fact they are far-right Republicans. Harper wanted to go in the war in Iraq. At the time he said, I don't know all the details, but we should help the Americans. Those are his own words. If he had been leader at that time, he would have taken us to Iraq, not knowing all the details. Harper's building military jets now, not to defend our borders, but to take us into war. If you read the book Harperland, you'll see that since he was a kid, Harper admired Canada's war history. Harper was also described in that book by people who had known him as being paranoid, untrusting, and controlling by nature. On top of which he likes war. That describes a narcissist, someone who has no real feelings for human beings and regards them as objects and puppets to be manipulated. Harper calls a coalition un-Canadian when he himself had proposed one. He controls all of his supporters and controls media questions when he is able, especially at his rallies, where you have to be a pro-conservative to get in the rally. And if they see any evidence, even a bumper sticker on your car, that you may be in support for another political party, you will be escorted out. Also at his rallies, they drown out journalists who ask certain questions. Supporters speaking out loud, drowning out reporters with important questions. Not very Canadian either. Not allowing footage of Afghanistan war victims, our soldiers who died returning home, not to be covered in the news without asking the families. And they started speaking out saying they want that to be broadcasted, but Harper didn't want to broadcast it, nor did he want to lower the flag either to acknowledge that they had died. Firing people under him for communicating with the public or for standing up for their morals. A few examples include Garth Turner, MP Bill Casey, Senators Hugh Segal and Michael Mahan, and Helena Georges. Harper shut down Parliament for the 2010 Winter Games. He is the first Prime Minister to be held in contempt of Parliament. The G20 abuse of peaceful law-abiding citizens. Riot police have a new name now. Riot police used to mean police officers geared up to stand against rioters. At the G20, we found out that even in Canada now, as has been happening in the States, riot police are now rioting police who charge in and brutalize innocent protesters for practicing their rights as Canadian citizens to protest during a very public and important political event where protesting was to be expected. After all, $1 billion was spent on it. Rally screening using RCMP as goons. stealing a ballot box in Guelph, Ontario, after accusing the early election office of not counting votes correctly. Elections Canada later found that they had been voted correctly, and these were college students voting, of course, not voting for Stephen Harper. Corporate tax cuts, which are now 1/3 of what corporate tax in the United States are. And lying at the English debate that was no longer going to be in his budget. Now he's saying he's going to go back on his original budget. Congesting the border with Obama to create a, quote, North American perimeter. This was done in secret, but announced publicly a little while ago. This involves a, quote, sweeping overhaul of Canadian and United States security. Fighter jets, without engines to hide the true expense. He likes war. Harper calls funding of political parties un-Canadian, by taxpayers' dollars, that is, so that all these political parties have a say. Meanwhile, he steals funds to illegally further fund his own already well-funded ad campaigns, which Elections Canada discovers. 26 million taxpayers' dollars spent on attack ads in a matter of 3 months. The never-ending outpour of scandals proving that Harper's group are criminals. He wants to build more prisons. What for? If the economy is on the rebound, as he claims. I'm sure if he were to get back in, we will find out what he wants to build all those prisons for. More troops for BS wars, feeding the military-industrial complex. The Helena Georges case, firing her for no reason that has ever been given, except for she discovered a whole lot of accusations of her and prostitutes that are apparently unfounded, and she is now pursuing legal matters, legal options to pursue this. I hope that she sues him for defamation of character. Carson brought a former ex-money launderer and prostitution aider and abettor to 24 Sussex Drive. More of his hypocriticism. He fired Bruce Carson for criminal activities, and Carson's lawyer states that they knew about his criminal past when they had hired him. When Peter Mansbridge points out in an interview with Harper that a coalition is not unconstitutional, Harper responded by saying, "I don't care to get into a constitutional theoretical discussion with you." So the Constitution is theoretical? Wanting to cut funds to Planned Parenthood. Before it came out, of course, and it became such a hot issue that he had to retreat on that. Lying about our economy doing better, and free trade is killing it. He will not work with Parliament, causing these multiple elections, which he states Canadians do not want. So it is the fault of the other political leaders for not going along with whatever Harper wants to do. In the debate, in the English language debate, he would not participate. He would not answer questions. He denied everything and kept turning to the camera to try to sell his view, his lies to the public like a door-to-door salesman. Visibly, the Canadian public could see him not participating. This is a democracy. What we're seeing with Harper, the Harper government, is a dictator wannabe trying to control everything. The facts paint a very grim picture. Please, this election, vote against Stephen Harper. Thank you.